Hello, everyone. My name is Joey DiBenedetto. I'm the Managing Director of Sales and Growth over here at Real Estate Experts. And I am here for our next Agent on Fire with Jackie Wolf, who is an absolute rock star. She's at 16 units closed for the year so far this year, number 2 in the brokerage and unit counts. Just in the last month, she closed four units in the last, 6 units in the last 3 months, just this last quarter. An absolute beast of a real estate agent and probably one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet in your entire life. And so, Jackie, I'm so thankful that you're here with us. I'm excited to ask you all these questions. Do you mind if I just dive right in?
No, go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, amazing. So, the first question that we always ask everybody is why real estate? Like, why did you choose to get into real estate? What's your backstory?
Well, I went to school and I have a degree. I was going to be a teacher, and that route completely turned when I met my husband. So we got married. I never went into teaching. He's a very successful mortgage lender, and I was a stay-at-home mom. A couple of years passed, and we were having daily discussions about the real estate industry, the mortgage world, homes on the market. And it just made sense for me to get my license and get into real estate. So I got my license in 2004.
So 2004, a couple of years right before the crash. So I'm sure that was very interesting for you. You're having conversations with your husband who's in mortgage. You get your real estate license. Like what was the first year or two like for you in real estate? What did that look like?
So this situation it can work, really good when times are great. We're doing great when times are not so good because we're not diversified,
Mm.
two people in the same industry. But in 2008, um, when he slowed down a bit, I actually got a little bit busier because I got into foreclosures and I was doing BPOs for banks and things like that. So, these different markets have taught us both, but me specifically, how to diversify myself and kind of anticipate the next turn in the market.
So you've seen the ups and downs. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. The fact that both of you being in the same industry, I'm sure that can be amazing when it's amazing, and it can be pretty challenging when it's tough. So let me ask you this: getting into the industry and starting your real estate career, what were your frustrations when you were getting started in the business? What were you dealing with?
Um, well, I think this is a frustration that everybody has. Everybody knows a realtor. So,
Mm.
you think, oh, this is great. I'm licensed. I'm going to do this. You're all fired up. And, it turns out everybody knows a realtor. So that was one of my biggest frustrations, but I learned a lot from that. And I have learned that to look at everybody as a friend. Of course, our trainings tell us to look at everybody as a prospect, but I've turned it around in my head to look at everybody as a friend. And once they know, there's a stigma around the agent world, being an agent. So once they know that they don't have to, not talk about their home or not bring up the thought that they might think about moving, then it comes down and they feel more comfortable asking me what's going on in the market. What do you feel about the price ranges? So that was my major frustration, but it's also turned into a success for me because I really feel that people feel my friendship over the fact that I'm trying to earn their business.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I think that's really valuable information. I'd love to hear, you know, I have when I started my career in New York City, I got outfriended more times than I care to admit. Like people just choosing another agent because they were friendlier with them when I thought I was all business. And so, what does it look like to you to build those relationships? What does that mean, to really treat your clients as a friend?
Well, I mean, I've had a couple of situations where, they're my good friends and they've hired somebody else, but you know what? Our friendship has sustained. So, to me, they say it's a numbers game, but the more people that feel my sincerity, my honesty, They might not use me because our relationship is too close, but I've been referred out. I've sold their investment properties. The business just has a way of coming around again.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the relationship side of things sometimes, and I'm sure anyone who's listening to this who's in the real estate industry has dealt with this, where their best friend or someone they care about decides to use a different agent than you. But you're saying that the relationship doesn't stop there. In fact, it doubles down. You want to make sure you're there for them, and that they know that they can refer opportunity to you, even if it's not them.
At any time. And especially for me in my situation, it's doubly important because
Mm.
if I don't get the business, maybe my husband does. So it's super important for the client, the friend, anybody to not feel any adversarial feelings from us. We want the best from them. And it's a sincere feeling. And then it just comes around. So
I couldn't agree more. So let me ask you this question. There's usually like a moment when we as agents or we in the business have this like moment where we're like, okay, I can do this. Did you ever have one of those like defining moments for you where you made the decision that this is what you wanted to do?
yeah, I always knew it's what I wanted to do. It was a great lifestyle, raising kids and everything, and
Mm.
and I did fairly well. But one year in the middle of my career, it was about, maybe 2015, 2016. Um, I got a call, a listing call. I went to the interview, and I did not know who this person was. I did my best through the listing interview. It turns out it was the LAPD police chief. And he said he hired multiple agents and they're going to go with me. We sold their house. I mean, that was a tough situation the minute I knew who he was, just
Mm.
pleasing him, um, understanding his wants and needs, not being intimidated by the situation. They were very pleased with the way the sale went down. And I was pleased with myself and suddenly realized, like, this is it for me. I've arrived. I'm confident in discussing any price range with any homeowner. And, that's a big deal for agents. Sometimes we get stuck in the lower price ranges or we get stuck in certain niches and we don't fully have the confidence that we can grow. And I know now after 20 years that I'm confident in guiding somebody, whether they want to buy or sell, my confidence level is there.
Man, that what you just said, I don't know about anybody else listening, but that resonates with me so strongly. That moment of where you realize that like you're not playing at the game of real estate anymore. You actually you are good at this. Like you can do this. This is something that you're comfortable and confident and proud of yourself and your abilities in. And one of the things I love about you, Jackie, is that you exude that confidence with such ease that it doesn't ever come off as arrogant or cocky. It always comes off as sort of like this hug of knowledge, which is unbelievable. And then add on top of all that, like you were probably already successful at that point. You probably already closed dozens and dozens of deals over your career. And it's really, isn't it nice to have one of those moments where you just get to check in with yourself and say, wow, this was, I did this. Like I knocked this out of the park and I can continue to do this. I'll continue to do it better. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you.
yeah, of course. So, you've been in the industry for nearly 2 decades. You've got a massive amount of experience, which is unbelievable. You've also probably learned more about mortgage than you ever cared to admit because your husband talks about it nonstop. So, if you go back to those beginning years, those first 2, 3, 4 years before 2008, before things got crazy and you had to completely relearn about for foreclosures and all of that stuff, what would you have done differently getting started in this career, knowing what you know now?
Two things, and they both have to do with moving. So, first off, the year I was licensed, we decided to move to Santa Clarita. While that was good, we're moving to a bigger city, more opportunity. I didn't realize that I had so many connections where I had currently lived. So that's the first one. When you're getting into the business, kind of decide where you want to grow your roots. Then from there, you can extend out to other cities. But I hadn't had the opportunity to grow my roots yet. So I was starting on ground level from just a seed, basically. Secondly, I moved brokerages multiple times. And I started out the right way. I started out as a buyer's agent on a big team, and I learned the ropes. And I mean, that experience was invaluable because you're learning from these people. But because of that, I switched to about 5 different brokerages. So I think our clients want to see a strong brand, stability, roots, experience, all of those things make them feel better. So that would be 2 of my frustrations and regrets.
What do you feel like that move? Man, I've moved more times than I care to admit in my lifetime. But moving to a new place and restarting that real estate, seemingly restarting the real estate business. How did you how did you do that? How did you start or restart after the move?
I mean, it was hard because we didn't know anybody. So I
Yeah.
got involved in the kids. I became the room mom of every classroom. At church, I became, the leader at church. I became, I just invested myself. We joined a tennis club. The tennis club by far was the most successful for me in terms of meeting people. I mean, again, everybody at a tennis club has their own realtor, unfortunately, but I grew friends, which in turn grew my business.
Got it. So you really invested in building relationships with this in as many different verticals as possible, as fast as possible. Makes
Yes,
sense.
I mean, you wouldn't know it, but I typically on the shyer side. I think maybe most agents are. There's very few that are, that, you know, hit the pavement type agent. So I really have to force myself or had to force myself to get out and get involved. And now I'm not as shy, but when you're starting out in the business, it's hard when you couple that with more of a shyer personality. So my suggestion would be to get out there, get involved for your business, but always be reminded it's for the friendships first.
Yeah, I think anything you do is if you go into it thinking I'm going to build long-standing relationships, it will pay you back in spades.
Mhm.
So let me ask you, you've gone through a lot. I mean, over the last 20 years of your career, you've been what 5, 6 different brokerages. You went through the worst housing crisis America's ever seen. You came out the other end. You've been in a global pandemic. You've been after a global pandemic. You've seen rates be as high as they could be and as low as they could be. What would you say to somebody? And now you've built an unbelievably sustainable, stable, consistent business that is providing opportunity to you in spades. What would you say to somebody who is currently in your shoes or wants to be in your shoes? Like, what do you think the that that secret to success looks like?
Well, treating people with, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The friendship is very important. Being sincere with people, they need to feel your sincerity. And in real estate, we all have our gifts. I'm not the mathematical guru, that can spit out, what somebody's gonna net at the end of their sale. I mean, my talents and my gifts are um caring for the people, understanding their emotional reasons why they need to sell. Also the business side of it, but people really, they really, really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that quote, I basically built, my business and my life on. The same goes for parenting or anything in life. If people don't feel your sincerity, you're not going to win. There's just no way you're going to win. So it's all about having them sincerely know in their heart how much you care.
I love everything you just said. I think that is the definition of a real estate expert is yes, you understand the information that you need to share with somebody, but how you choose to share it and the care in which you share it with, that's the difference between a real estate agent and a real estate expert is that level of care. And taking care of your clients and our who are should be our friends and we should treat them like family. You do that better than most agents out there. My last question is usually one that has to do with advice or a quote, but I think I know what it is. Let me ask it and just make sure we're on the same page. So my last question that I ask everyone is, you've been in the industry 2 decades. You've probably gotten advice and heard quotes and been in coaching calls throughout your whole career, and you've heard amazing advice from people. What's the one piece of advice that has stuck with you for the long haul?
Oh, I think I just yeah, that's it. And I live my life by it. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I hate to be repetitive, but it's just, it should come natural to all of us agents to really deeply care about the client, and then the money will come. The closings will come. Everything will come.
Yes. Care equals closings, for sure. No doubt about it. The more you care, the more closings you'll receive. Jackie, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time with me today. It has been an absolute privilege to just get to hear your backstory a little bit, learn more about you. If you are watching this and you're interested in getting to have a conversation with Jackie, you want to learn a little bit more about what she does or how she does it, by all means, she's available to talk with anybody. Her email and her phone number will be at the end of this video. You are welcome to reach out to her with any questions you have, or if you just want to tell her how great she is. I'm sure everyone loves to hear that. I mean, I know I do. You can text me if you don't feel like texting her. Text me how much you like me. I'm kidding. Please don't. But thank you, Jackie. I appreciate you. And this was an amazing Expert on Fire.
Thank you so much.